this is kind of fun to make in the months of the year when tomatoes are less than perfect. You know, except for the brief tomato season in the summertime, the rest of the year, the tomatoes, well, especially if you get them in the grocery store, sometimes they just don't taste like tomatoes, you know what I mean? So a great way to get around that is to roast the tomatoes. It makes them slump up a little bit and concentrates the flavor that they have, brings out some tartness and some sweetness. So we start by oven roasting some sliced Roma or vine-ripe tomatoes, whichever looks better to you in the store that day. Arrange a wire rack on top of a baking sheet so the heat can circulate all the way around the tomatoes. It's slumping up in the oven. And I've got the oven on 325, and you're going to pop the tomatoes in there for about 45 minutes until they start to shrink up, but they still have a little moisture left, and they're nice and tart and sweet to the bite. Then I'm going to take, these are my Italian dried seasonings in a grinder. You could do a mixture of salt and pepper and a little dried Italian seasoning lightly crushed in your palm. I'm just going to use my grinder, which has salt and pepper mixed in with the rosemary and oregano and thyme. Season them up with a drizzle of olive oil over the top as well. They're very lightly dressed with oil and then seasoned. Pop them into the oven. I'm adding this to another tray I've already got going on in there. When you take them out, they'll look like this. Cool them to handle. In the meantime, I have square-shaped muffin tins. So I bought some large jumbo square-shaped ravioli. If you have round muffin tins, of course, just buy jumbo round ravioli. Any flavor you like. The fake out is that the ricotta and the pasta sheet is already in the ravioli. So what you do is, in a non-stick baking tin, you don't even have to oil the bottom or anything. You take your par-cooked ravioli. As soon as they float to the top, you're good to go. And then in the center, you're going to put a little bit of the roasted tomato, fresh mozzarella, grated Parmigiano Reggiano, and a leaf of torn basil. And then you cap that with another. And then you layer on 2 pieces of tomato on top, and then a little more mozzarella cheese, and a little more parm. And then you raise the oven temp up to 375, and you bake them until they're golden on top, and they look like little individual lasagnas. This guy here still needs the cheese on top. Let me get this going, and we'll get this into the oven and bring down our mystery taster. Now, just so you guys know how horribly wrong this can go, one time Brooke Shields was in that elevator, and I thought she was the guy from Kiss. Yeah, I mean, I could be wildly off on this game. I'm almost there, I'm almost there. 2 more, 2 more, 1 more. A little parm over the top. I know, it's a really cute idea, right? And then you can put them out on a little serving tray, or you serve individual portions of 1 or 2 as your appetizer at a sit-down dinner. People love this. And it's a fake out also, I mean, because it looks fancy and like it took you some time, and there's nothing to it. And it's certainly a lot quicker than making a lasagna, I'll tell you that. Pop that into the oven. Now, guys, we just basically stacked up and layered ravioli, nice store-bought big square ravioli, because I used a square muffin tin of mine. Or you could get the big jumbo round ones if your muffin tin is, you know, classic back in the day round. And you just layer it. Cook your ravioli. We're layering it with some oven roast tomatoes, which is fantastic because most of the year, tomatoes don't really taste so tomatoey, right? So by roasting them, you bring out what little flavor they have and you highlight it. They become tart and sweet at the same time. They're dressed with just olive oil and a little bit of Italian seasoning. Roast them at 325 till they slump up, about 45 minutes. Cool them to handle. Then you put 1 ravioli on the bottom. There's already ricotta, of course, inside the ravioli. That's the fake-out lasagna. So then you layer in some tomato, basil, and the fresh mozzarella cheese and a sprinkle of parm. Add another layer, top it off, and it really does look like little individual lasagnas. Then, to garnish, stack up a few leaves of basil, nice and flat, and then roll them into a little log, and then very thinly slice, keeping the tip of your knife on the cutting board, and just shred across. That's a chiffonade. You're making a little basil confetti. And you could either, for a sit-down dinner, place one on a plate with a little garnish of the chiffonade, or for a party, stack them all out there with a little spatula to serve and sprinkle the chiffonade all over the platter of your little individual lasagna. It's a pretty cute fake out, right?